So, welcome to this short-term, high-impact discussion with Rosita Gabbianelli. Rosita, welcome, and tell us a few things about your expert field. How did you get involved in that, and what are you doing?
Okay, good morning. First of all, I am Rosita Gabbianelli and I work on epigenetics. I work on how the environment and different kind of aspect in the environment, food, stress, toxic compound, social interaction, drugs, can modulate our epigenome. And it means that how this factor can switch on or switch off our genes in order to modulate the expression of our genes.
This is your field, your expert field.
Yes.
And specifically today, you are going to speak about how to understand or disseminate this understanding out of your long research on the impact of birth-related trauma on the epigenome, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So what was the challenge that led to this specific research?
Okay. I think that we need to know better. I need to know better what is the stress, the trauma that is associated to birth. And for this reason, I did the short-term scientific mission to Olga, to you. And because I know that the stress is one of the factors that can modulate our epigenome, but I didn't know how much and how could be this kind of stress. And what happened during my short-term scientific mission was that thanks to you, I go inside this topic of the stress, and what comes from this experience is that the stress, the maternal stress, but not only the maternal stress, is a complex phenomenon. And this stress is a family stress because it's not only the stress of the mother, but only the stress of the father, but only the stress of grandmother and grandfather, because we inherited this kind of stress. And what is this stress? Really, it's only simple thing that can occur during the maternal labor experience, and what happened to her and to the father when are waiting for the birth of the baby, what is their idea of the delivery. I remember one story that describes a mother and a father that would like to have the baby in a house and not in the hospital. Why? Because they prefer a natural place without doctor, without drugs, in a natural way. But what happened that these parents did not receive for me the all the information required for this kind of event did in the house instead of the hospital. And so what they lived was that the baby, the time for delivery was over the 40 weeks, and the mother should go to the delivery with the help of oxytocin, and she didn't know that the dose of oxytocin that she could receive in the house was lower of the dose that can be given at the hospital. For me, it was crazy that nobody informed the mother, the father. that the midwife didn't inform the parents about this. So this family, this mother, lived a very traumatic period of stress of about 40 hours. And what happened was that at the end of this great pain, the mother got to the dissociation, and the interaction with the baby, the son, the daughter, was of course not too good. And but what was surprised by this was why people do not ask before this event, why midwife did not inform. So maybe it's necessary to revisit this kind of information that every subject should receive, and that the healthcare professional should give to the people. And midwife, but midwife means that the university where these midwives are formed should give this kind of information to the midwife or to the gynecologist. So it is necessary more information to give more information to give to the parents in order to prepare about this. But this is not enough, because what I discovered is that also what happened to the grandfather, grandmother can influence the stress event of this of every subject. So we know that epigenetics can be inherited, and we have to know all the history, all the stress condition that our parents, our grandparents lived. And what we should give to what we should do now is to inform subject new parents about this, about what they can live during the period of delivery, what can happen during the last day when there is the delivery, what problem can occur during this event. And also the healthcare professional should be informed, because maybe during their university they didn't have this kind of information on the psychological impact of dramatic event in our epigenome. And following this short-term scientific mobility, I went also to analyze other paper on stress, and I realized that there are some studies already done on stress that identify the mechanism associated to the inheritance of the stress in preclinical study and in humans. And what, for example, has been observed that there are 9 microRNA that can, for example, be responsible for the stress response. You think that if we isolate this microRNA and we put this microRNA in contact with the oocytes, and this oocyte go to the are fertilized, so there is the fusion of male spermatozoa with the ovule, the pump will show the memory of the traumatic events that was associated to the disequilibrium of these 9 microRNA. But also, for example, the smell of specific compound. For example, in preclinical studies, has been observed that if the mouse are exposed to the smell of sherry and almond, and after this they receive a small electric stimulation, the pump, when they smell the same kind of sherry almond, have hyperkinesis, and this hyperkinesis was not observed if they received other kind of smells. So there is, by these microRNA that are modulator of epigenetic, the inheritance of the stress. But you think that also in human, For example, Americans that lived the traumatic experience of the Civil War have generated son with a short lifetime. And was observed also that if the mother have a good nutrition with all proper molecular nutrients, can counterbalance this kind of stress. So what means that stress and can represent an important factor that generation by generation can influence our life, our wellness, and we have to sensibilize more people and also policymaker that should do some kind of law to address this point, and healthcare professional to give to the person that are near the parents the good information to respect not only the physical, from the physical point of view, but the psychological status of the subject, and help this in order to have the birth of the child like a good physiological, no traumatic events.
Right. So, from the knowledge that is gained or was gained during your research and your SDSM, your short-term scientific mission, I suppose that there is some impact on many levels, like academia, curriculum, family, societies, etc. Would you like to speak a little bit about how can all of these findings and the ones that are to be generated in the future, how can this affect the way young professionals are educated and trained, and also families and parents?
We should start to do education early in life. It in my opinion, starting from elementary school, middle school, high school, and what should be introduced at the school, the study of psychological aspect, so the psychological health. We in Italy, for example, I don't know in other countries, but in Italy we don't have more time given to this important field of the psychological status of the subject and how it can impact the health of each subject. So starting from early life, childhood, so elementary school, should be the psychologist into the school to explain, to looking for how is important, what do you feel, how is the reaction of negative events, how you can manage these negative events. For example, happen some negative thing, help the baby, the child, to think how much is dramatic this event, why, how we can resolve this. It is really a dramatic event, or it is something linked to the past, why for you it's very negative, how you can resolve this problem. Do you think that if we do this kind of actions, we can ameliorate the impact towards this kind of difficulty, this kind of emotional event? So there is an education step by step. We cannot start at the university because it's too late. Because when we are child, we are more flexible to change, and we can be more easy educated to this change challenges. So these challenges. So we have to modify the approach at the school. But of course, if the approach must be done into the school, it's necessary also that at a high level, policymakers know about this point, the real problem of the psychological condition that can impact health, the well-being of each subject. So how we can work in this manner? For example, in the small town, some teacher should do conferences for stakeholders where normal people or, for example, also professor, also some policymaker should attend to be seen, to be informed about how much is important the aspect of the study of psychological health. I think that step by step, also from population, from inviting people in the theater, speak about this, invite people to conference, or people that can go to the school to speak to the child, to the adolescents, and in order to create in the population the sensitivity to this kind of problem. It must be a real exigence of requested needs of the population, and policymakers should be prompt to respond to this. This is not easy because policymakers should think to population, to do things that can help the society. They should look to the past and what happened, and they should apply, according to this, they should improve, they should do law to help the population, the society to grow for their education. Unfortunately, in many countries, like in our country, not always the politicians think to the wellness of population, but think to their own power. And this is a ethical problem. So the ethical problem should be one of the main problems in our society, because we should think to the wellness of future generations. And think to the wellness means that we have to change something now and think to their wellness, physical and psychological wellness, because they are both strongly associated. And what we do now will be what we can give to the next generations. So it's our decision. Yes.
Generations, not just one.
No, generations.
Right. So I am listening to you, Rosita, and I can't help thinking of the importance of having more people with the right skills to translate these academic findings, research findings, science into street science or kid science, or popularize this information so that different populations from kindergarten to mature years can get the message and do something good with this. It's an art, isn't it, to popularize such knowledge?
Exactly, it's an art to translate this to all people. And what we have to do is exactly this. Exactly this. We starting a little. I observed also that the scientific society started to do this, the street sciences, and so I am a little positive about this, because something can change, but every subject has to think that has to do its contribute. So we can change only if each subject gives something. We cannot think the other will do. We have to think that I am responsible for this situation and I have to give my small contributions, because my small contribution with your and with the other all together will be fundamental to change and upgrade our society.
It is a short piece now in the big picture will create high impact change for the best in the future, whatever near or distant future for generations we may never meet, we may never live long enough to meet. So, Rosita, what are the challenges that remain now? Back to you mentioned there is some good knowledge now, and there are experiments and laboratories that do this kind of research. There are groups that try to find what is the connection between the stressful events and the quality of life. What remains as a priority to happen?
The priority, the main change is to make the complexity and multifactorial nature of birth trauma understood on a global level. And it means to include the university within this kind of project, and to have a new approach to psychological field that should be developed. Don't give the responsibility only to the mother for the trauma of the child or for what happened to the child, but it's the responsibility of all the society. So the challenge should be obtained by the work of each subject, from institutions to policymakers and to all kinds of stakeholders.
Actually, Rosita, you touch a very sensitive point here. Mothers have been accused, condemned, burdened, made feel guilty for something or things which are historical or social, and this is not very just, and it's very beautiful that you bring our attention to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the point. We have to look globally. The responsibility is not to the mother. The mother has some, for example, the mother can ameliorate as I mentioned before, if they have a good nutrition, can counterbalance the damage. If they represent a new strategy, a new opportunity for the newborn. But the negative aspects come from all the society, and it is not only the responsibility of the mother, absolutely, it's from all the society. And what people think go on the mother, and unfortunately the society tend to do the more easy thing, to forward to the mother all the responsibility. But it is not true. We know from epigenetics that the father, the grandfather are responsible for several non-communicable diseases that can be observed in the children, in the grandson, and in the future generations, and without any responsibility from the mother. So it means that each component of the society has its responsibility. And so it's a global problem. Everyone has to take its responsibility and has to change for our future generations.
I suppose that this is the main message you would like to bring from this discussion to the ears of those who are in key places or in places which can make a difference, because all can make a little of contribution to this, right?
It is right. Yes, Olga.
Thank you very much, Rosita, for
Thank you.
your insightful conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Olga, to you, to all things that you teach me. It was a great experience for me. Thank you very much.